This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
Being a media boss is the core of what makes us so successful for our clients. It's why our clients don't quit what we do. And it is simply that broadcasting in all formats is an absolute necessity right now.
Media Boss Podcast is brought to you by two of our new partners. One is Pantheon. I can't wait to tell you about them later. And brought to you by Convert and Flow. You're going to learn so much about them. But now it's time for the Media Boss Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I am elated to have you with me today. You probably guessed it. I'm going to tell you I have a great show. And this one's special to me because this is a friend. I'm real happy about this show because it's going to be a lot of fun. And you're going to learn a lot. And hopefully you'll be able to take action on some things. So I'm looking forward to that. So for those of you who are listening to the Media Boss Podcast for the first time, let me tell you what the podcast is about. See, I believe that everybody consumes their information from one media source or another, whether it be print, broadcast, radio, whatever. You consume your media from one source or another. So if you're a business person, if you're a speaker, author, coach, whatever, then you need to get your media out there. And I say, get them on all platforms so you don't miss anybody and you don't miss any revenue. So you can become a media boss. Now, for those of you who are listening for the first time, second time, third time, whatever, one thing I'm going to ask you to do, and that's make sure you share this podcast. Let everyone know that you're listening to or watching the Media Boss Podcast, and make sure you subscribe and write us a great review too. We appreciate that. Now, I like to start off every episode with what I call the Media Minute. Media Minutes where I either teach you something or tell you something about media that I think you guys need to know. And I want to do today, I want to tell you a little story. This actually is a true story. A few years ago, I remember I was in a studio and I was a guy, he does production, video production, media production. And someone came in and they were there for the whole day. They rented out the whole day where they're going to be doing a whole course online. They spent the whole day doing the course online. Everything was great. The cameras were great. Lighting was great. And one thing they forgot to do, and that's make sure that the audio was on. So this person did the whole day. And when they went back, there was no audio. So my point to you, and I think you can gather where I'm going with this, make sure that you check that everything is working when you're doing all of your media. Make sure it's working, because the last thing you want to do is spend the whole day. I don't care if it's the whole hour. You don't want to spend the whole hour doing one thing and then having to go back and do it over because you just didn't check something that you could have easily checked. So that's your Media Minute for the day. Now, I want to bring on my guest today. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't even feel right introducing this person, reading the introduction, only because I know her. Only because I've known her for some years now. But I do want to tell you that she has done well over 1,000 podcasts, not just for her, for other people. She's produced podcasts for other people. I can't even count how many podcasts she's done. She has a company called Podetize that is helping so many people. Matter of fact, they not only host podcasts, but they're the largest in not the nation, the world. Okay. And I'm going to have her come on and tell you more about it, because I'm just excited to have her here. And I'm actually honored to have her here too. Like I said, she's a friend, but her time is so valuable. And I appreciate her and her husband, Tom, for being here. So I want to bring to the Media Boss Podcast none other than Tracy Hazzard. Tracy, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to catch up with you while we're doing something valuable and getting our messages out, right?
Right. It's fun. And I'm like I said, I'm just glad to have you here. From the moment I met you in Tom years ago at CEO Spaces, like I always clicked with you too. You guys are just great people. And I'm real appreciative of getting to know you and the friendship as well, because you've always been supportive of everything. And I just really, really, really want to tell you how much your work is appreciated. Because you even helped me out when I was when I was talking about inventing stuff, because you guys are great at that as well. You guys are good at pretty much everything, I think.
Well, I appreciate that. But I was so excited when you said you were starting your show, because I was like, wow, I can really help you here. This is
right?
so much easier. Right. But I really think you said something at the beginning about being what a media boss means. And this is something that we built our entire business on. It's actually being a media boss is the core of what makes us so successful for our clients. It's why our clients don't quit what we do. And it is simply that broadcasting in all formats is an absolute necessity right now. But it's not just a necessity because we want to be there where our clients are and what they prefer to consume. But there's a digital gatekeeper that we have to play with. And so what we realized really early on, luckily, and we built it into our system and our process, is that Tom's a video watcher and I'm a reader. And so what we realized is when we would Google search for things, or we would even podcast search for things, right? When you just say, what's the best podcast in this? And if you type that into Google, it's going to serve me up a blog and a podcast, and it's going to serve Tom up a video and then a podcast. So even though I'm asking for podcasts, the algorithm on Google is so much smarter to know what I actually will click on. And I'm personally more likely to click on something you read.
And it's almost scary.
Right. It's scary, right? But it's controlling it for your clients, for your users, for the listeners that you want, the viewers that you want, the people you want to reach, especially the people who don't know you, who don't know where to consume your content. So if you're going to be a real media boss, you have to beat the digital bots, not just the humans who are deciding where to consume you.
But you're so right, Tracy. I mean, you're so right. And because I tell people all the time is that there are people out there that want to pay you, but they don't know you. And I say that people do something that I call ego-based marketing, meaning we put our message out in a forum that makes us feel comfortable.
Yes.
And it's not where the people want to consume it.
That's so true, right? Yeah, we're doing it where we feel comfortable and safe. And that's not always, the people who need us the most probably don't have that skill set, probably aren't in that same space. That's why they actually need us, why they're attracted to us. So I know that the copy skills, the writing skills, the ability to make great headlines and do other things are part of the things that our clients love about what we do. It's my core competency. So we built that in because I was a writer first. And so we built that into our system, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to hear about that. They want that to just work for them. That's not why they come through, right? They want to just talk on the microphone because that's what they're great at.
Yeah.
And we need to make a process that lets them do that, but still lets them not miss out. And that's so often what I think a lot of companies do is that they go in and they market to the ego-based thing, the thing that they're attracted to. But the other stuff is actually the stuff that they really need to be successful.
I agree. I'm with you. And it's funny because, like you said, people like to talk about it. And I always tell people when they ask me, well, where should I start? There's a lot of media out there. I said, always start with a podcast. Reason being because it's easier for you to talk about something you love.
Right. And lately I've been telling people to start with a live stream. Because if they're really comfortable there, it does all the recording, it saves all the stuff. It even captions it. There's so much availability there that if they can get comfortable doing that, the difference is that when I say record a podcast, the problem is that there's no accountability to someone else. So you and I, we have an appointment to have a conversation here. Right. So you're going to show up because you're accountable to me and you invited me on and we have an appointment. So that's one way to make it happen. But if you're not doing that guest interview model, you don't have that accountability of an appointment and you'll slip your schedule. But if you have accountability to live stream out to an audience to talk to them, you will show up, right? It's going to make you show up.
I like that. You know what? You may have changed something for me. So,
well, it's just 60% of my clients do video first. Now, not all of them record live stream video, and that's perfectly okay. But it is an accountability measure that I do build in for some people who just can't. They just won't record. They'll slip. And so I do it for certain people.
Now, which since we're on that topic, which live stream method do you use? Which software?
So we've been testing out a bunch. Our favorite so far is Restream. We're really big fans of Restream. It's low cost. It's really simple to use. There's a few little settings, quirks, and some things, but you'll put out one and you'll go, ooh, that looks a little weird. And then you'll fix it for the next time. So you can learn really quickly what works and what doesn't. And I love that you can change the headline. You can change the title. So if you screwed up, you can actually change it right there on the fly and it doesn't really matter. And it's good to go. We're about to test out for doing a Restream. So we do go live when we record. We do go live to our community, and then we record and save it for our YouTube, and we save it for our podcast. So we have that as an after. But we're about to try one where we aren't even live at all, where we're actually just Restream and resharing it at that moment in time as if it was live. That's a feature you can utilize, which is pre-recorded, but streamed. And we haven't done that yet. So that's the next one we're trying and testing out. So we'll test that out and I'll let you know how that one goes in the future. But I think you still have to show up and answer questions. I feel like if you don't even do that, then people are wise to the fact that you're not really there, and then they won't take it seriously. And I think the goal of live streaming is to get engagement. And so if you aren't taking advantage of that, you
gotta have engagement. And I think that's where a lot of people miss it, because they're so relieved that they got their message out.
They're like, I just did it. I'm good.
I did it. It's over. And no, you got to engage with people.
You got to engage with them, and then you got to reshare it, and then you got to do all these things. And it's a lot, right? It's a lot to think about. So you were talking about how many podcasts. Well, I personally have hosted over the years, and I don't host them all right now, but I personally hosted 8 different kinds of podcasts. And that's because I start a brand new one every year to see how hard it is for my clients to start a new one. So I'm planning now for 2023 is what's going to be the new one that I'm going to start in 2023. And we're going to start a live stream, an actual live stream first model. So we're going to start one like that to see how I can advise clients as to making that work, because there's nuances to live streaming. They tend to be a shorter format. So you have to promote ahead of time. So there's nuances to making sure you have graphics and copy and assets before you actually do the live. Where today, whenever I do any of my podcasts, all of that, the titling, everything comes after I do it, which is easier because then I can make it up as I go along, right?
Exactly.
Now I got to plan a little more. So this way I can advise my clients next year who might want to do this, what's a better model of how to make that work. And so that's that's the next one I'm planning. But the past ones, we've tried every different format. We've tried recording with an audience, with a group of people in your community. We've tried ones where we, just do it privately. We've tried solo shows. We tried co-hosting. We tried all the different models of things, right? To see what's working. And then we try to keep them for a while so that we can see what the traction is and what's going on there. But I understand exactly how you feel, that creating all this content is a lot of work.
Yeah. And it is. And that's why you have a team.
That's right. But that's why if you don't have a team, you have to be better at planning. And that's really the idea there, is if you can do a better job of planning, you can make this easier on yourself.
And you also have to understand repurposing content. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time there's a new medium that you're using. You can just repurpose that same content.
And that's the problem, I think, that we don't have a sense and understanding. Now, Google for Creators just put out this fabulous graphic that I'm going to share with you, Barrett, so you can share with your audience. They can go to the blog post or go to your site and get this, or go to your social media, wherever you prefer to send them. So you send them there. But I'm going to give you the graphic, and it's Google for Creators created this graphic that talks about what they call it relevancy time period. So how long is a piece of content relevant? And what they mean by that is searchable, right? Yeah. So realistically searchable. And so what they say is if you put out Twitter posts, if Twitter was your primary form of communication, all the effort and time that you put into the Twitter post, your average time period of it being relevant and searchable is 15 minutes.
Wow.
TikTok, 30 minutes.
Get out.
LinkedIn, 1 day. It's going to be relevant for 1 day. Pinterest, 4 months.
Really?
Yeah. And we do a lot of Pinterest on our end. We've tested it out and it works. Like we get episode listens or views, click-throughs to them from Pinterest all the time. And I think it's actually a little bit longer than 4 months, but average, I could see, because they have a lot of pins, so they're doing averaging. But here's the real kicker. 1 year for blogs. 1 year. And I can tell you from my client standpoint, if you're really doing a really good blog, they'll last for years. And then they didn't have a number for podcasts that was more than a year, but our system tells us that we get podcast listeners up to 5 years after a podcast episode airs. Amazing. But it depends on the type of show. And, so there's a different thing. So I could see why they would have a 1 year, but on our platform, because their business shows, their business topics, they're just different in our platform than the general population of podcasts, that I could see the relevancy being longer for us, because, you're going to put out content that is going to be timeless. And it's not just going to be something that happens, we're talking about today, where the entire podcast ecosystem, they've got talk shows and they've got, stuff that just won't be relevant tomorrow.
See, guys, one thing I told you with Tracy, you're going to, if something else, I told you you're going to be able to implement something today. I told you. So, Tracy,
well, if you're going to spend your time and effort, right, you want to spend it on something that's going to last.
I agree. So tell us about Podetize, please.
Oh, absolutely. So Podetize is an all-in-one platform. So while we do hosting and syndication, so anyone who would like to have a podcast and get it out to the world, get it to Spotify and Apple and all the different syndicators, we actually are the only podcast system that does that manually for you. So there are lots of them that you can go in and they automatically do it, but we do it manually because we want to make sure you're on the 26 podcast players that are out there instead of just the 10 that are common. So we really do that. And we also want to make sure your podcast actually looks good when it's out there. So that's one things we do. So we have that. We think we have the best statistics in the industry because we show website and podcast statistics side by side. And what most people don't realize is if you're not getting clicked through to your website, then you're really not getting traction from your show, right? Nobody's going to find you elsewhere. They're just listening. And that's not enough traction for you to sell courses, sell books, get your social media for them to click through and find you on social, right? You want to make it easy. So if they're coming through your website, you're having better. And that does happen for our clients first. So we see website and then podcast, one and then the other in terms of growth. So we present that out there. We also have a whole new thing coming up called Pod Lister, which is going to demonstrate the value of your podcast. You're getting a sneak peek here that's coming out. And so it's going to be like the Zillow of podcasts. It's going to talk about how your value of what you built and, not a home, but what you built in terms of your podcast home base, how it compares to other ones in your neighborhood. So if you're competing against other media companies, what are they like? If you're competing against other publicists or other real estate agents or whatever that niche is, it's going to do that, because why should we be compared to Joe Rogan every time we turn around when we're just never going to be Joe Rogan? Right. And maybe we don't even want to be Joe Rogan, right? Like that's not what our goal is. So we need to be compared and have an understanding of how we're doing and how we're growing based on not just downloads, which is what the industry standard is. And that just doesn't work for us. So that's coming out. So on that technology side, we think we're doing really amazing things, but we have a really low number of subscribers and we keep it low because they have to be active to be one of our subscribers. We want them really podcasting. And then the flip side of that is we have all the production services. So as you grow, as you need things, we can set you up and get you started. Of course, we're happy to help someone start. And if you can't afford to have us do it for you, we have a free course. We have a boot camp. So anything you need to start a podcast, we've got for you. And then we have weekly coaching, so that we can make sure we're there for you, make sure we help you, make sure if you need to pivot as you get to 50 episodes and you want to, change your show, we can help you do that. And that doesn't cost any more than syndicating on our platform. So we try to keep all in one there. And then when you're ready for it and you have the money and the budget and you want to do all the repurposing, we do everything from video to audio to blog to social share graphics for you. And we're working on some ways to maybe even social share and post for you, or at least make it easier. But that's probably not going to be till next year. Because if we can't do it really well, then I don't want to do it. And one of the things about social sharing is that if you share from another platform into LinkedIn, for instance, or you share from another platform into Facebook, your algorithmic results go down in terms of conversion. So I'm trying to find alternative ways to give you what you need, but to make it so that you do it so that you get full value for doing it. Because what a shame is if it's because you share from my button, which happens from other platforms, they allow this. But if you share from my button, you're going to get in the single digits for conversion. But if you shared yourself, you'd at least get 15% or so conversion rate, or posting visibility is what you would call it. And so I want to make sure that you're going to get that. And just because you're using something simple and easy, I'm not harming it in the process.
Makes sense. Guys, look, I'm getting a lot of this. I hope you guys are taking notes. I really do. Well, guess what? We're going to take a break here. We're going to come back with more of Tracy Hazzard on the Media Boss podcast. So stick and stay right where you are. We'll be right back. How are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right, by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create, all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right. We're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right. We're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Do you have a podcast? Would you like to have it heard by more and more people? Well, Pantheon is the way to go. Unlock the right mindset and tactics with our program. Create momentum with repurposed content. Get paid to build your business. And with Pantheon, we'll even show you how to have a team around you that gives you a community of encouragement. Check out Pantheon today.
You and me together, we could be anything.
Hey guys, I want to tell you a little bit about Pantheon. Man, let me tell you, the Media Boss podcast is so successful right now, partly because of the work that we put in with our new partner, Pantheon. They have helped us to grow our listenership. Our downloads for our podcast have increased substantially over just the last 4 to 6 months because of our partnership with Pantheon. Let me tell you, they have made it so that we can do our work in creating great content for you guys while they help us to grow. They work tirelessly behind the scenes, making it so people are more interested in what we're putting out as far as the podcast. They put systems in place. They do training. They show us how to attract more people, and they're making it happen for us. Look, if you guys want to learn more about how to do that for yourselves or for your podcast, I suggest that you get together with the people at Pantheon. I'll set up a meeting myself with them so you can do that. Connect with me, and let's find out how you can get going with Pantheon yourself for you and your podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I am loving having my guest on today, none other than Tracy Hazzard. She is talking to us about everything related to podcasting and media, and she is also talking about her baby, her Tom's baby, Podetize.
Yeah. So, I mean, Barrett's saying this here. Tom's my husband and my partner. So this is a, family-owned business.
We'll have to get Tom on another time.
Yeah, you'll have to have him on. Yeah. We talk about him and like he's here, but he's really not.
Does he still wear the ties?
Yeah. So
Does he still wear the ties?
Not often, because who goes out and wears ties anymore.
I know. That's why I asked.
So yeah, when we first met, Tom used to wear a 3D printed tie. And if you catch some photos of us, you'll still see Tom wearing them in photographs. So you can go check out our social media and you'll
that was like his trademark,
It was his thing, yeah.
So the pod lister, when is that coming out?
So it's going to be publicly available before the end of the year, but it will be privately available to those who are already in our network or already a part, or those who might claim a appointment and claim their ability to get a private invite. So that can happen. We will make sure that that Barrett has that for you, but we'll definitely make that happen for your community. So if they reach out, we'll make sure they get that. So Podlister is going private at the end of October in 2022, and then going live before December. And then it will be really publicly available in 2023 when a lot of the bells and whistles that we built in will come. So the beta version is really what you'll see in December. So
I am loving it. I'm loving it. I love all the work you guys do. I really do. So Tracy, before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to let everyone know anything that you want to have them participate in, anything at all.
Well, hey, look, if you're thinking about using podcasting or video casting as the start of something, that's the perfect model. Be thinking about creating content where your media kicks off from, and your boss industry is going to start right in that one place. The thing that you can do most importantly is be really sure who you're speaking to. Be really clear about that in your mind and curate your content, curate your topics, curate your guests, and really think about that at all times. I find when you do that, you create something that becomes bingeable. So where I'm going to go and I'm going to listen to all of the Media Boss podcast episodes, because I know when I catch this current one that it's amazing and it's got great value because it's coming across, because I know you're speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about being media bosses in general, like we think about this, but it's not about being out to everyone. It's being in the right place for the people who need us the most.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want, because marketing is marketing our message to the people who need us the most, who don't know us yet. Like that's my definition of it, right? If I'm marketing to the people who already know me, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's easier, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting out there to the people who don't know us yet. Like that's critically important, that we have a method for that, and that we're making it really easy for people to love it, share it, rave about it, because that's what's really going to make us grow. Because when somebody says, gosh, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, somebody's going to absolutely go out there and say, I know this person, I know this company, Podetize. Like they're going to go do it. It's easy once they get served through your content. So that's really just my core message and focus for you. But I would love for you to consume our podcasts, Feed Your Brand and The Binge Factor. If you are already podcasting or thinking about podcasting, this is the place for you. Success stories, tactics. This is what goes on in our coaching each week. Like you're going to hear all of that.
Yeah.
This week, we're talking about podcasting energy, of which you are great at it.
Thank you.
You got great energy and it comes across the microphone, right?
Thank you.
That's like the example of topics. Yeah. So, but it makes a better show, and it makes people want to listen. And if people binge on you, they're going to come back and buy everything you have to sell. It's easy because they like you faster.
You heard it here first. So Tracy, I want to thank you so much. I love you guys, and can't wait to see you guys again.
I know. I miss hugging people, and that's
right?
the thing, right? Yeah. I'm always like at the events that I am going to, I just want to hug people.
Right. Exactly. So thank you so much for joining us on the Media Boss Podcast, Tracy. I appreciate you so much. All right, guys, that was Tracy Hazzard. Now, I have something I want to give you guys, especially if it's your first time. I want you to go to 5waystoPayingClients.com. That's my free gift for you. 5waystoPayingClients.com. Too many people out here are complaining about, I have people that pay attention to my podcast, my whatever, but they don't pay. Well, I want to show you how to get paying clients. So it's my free gift to you, 5waystoPayingClients.com. Now, when we come back, guys, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I'm going to show you how we get out of here on the Media Boss podcast is we don't do it like everybody else. We do it a little differently. So stay right where you are. We'll be right back. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right. We do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. It's time to be a boss, a media boss. If you're in business for yourself, it's time that you get your message out, and podcasting is the best way to do it. Let us create a done-for-you podcast experience with Media Boss Club. All you have to do is go to MediaBossClub.com and we'll create a done-for-you podcast right now. That's MediaBossClub.com. Do you have a podcast? Would you like to have it heard by more and more people? Well, Pantheon is the way to go. Unlock the right mindset and tactics with our program. Create momentum with repurposed content. Get paid to build your business. And with Pantheon, we'll even show you how to have a team around you that gives you a community of encouragement. Check out Pantheon today.
You and me together, we could be anything.
Hey everybody, the Media Boss Podcast has been brought to you by our partners, Pantheon and Convert and Flow. Make sure you get with us so you can find out more about how you can help your business run smoothly with Pantheon and Convert and Flow. All right, guys, welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. Man, was Tracy great or was she great? I mean, really, that was fantastic. I really loved having her on here today. Now, guys, I got something for you, but you got to give and take here, okay? I want you guys to support our podcast. I really do. So if you want to go to patreon.com/Media Boss Podcast, support the show. We have some great perks for you guys just for supporting our podcast. And also, like I said, I want to give you guys a complimentary gift. That is 5waystoPayingClients.com. Go to 5waystoPayingClients.com. Do it right now. Also, I want to work with those people who are really serious about getting media going, who really want to become a media boss. I'm doing a 5-day challenge. It's called the Make Money from Media Challenge. I want to show you how to implement various forms of media, whether it be books, whether it be podcasting, streaming TV, whether it be film, all those things. I want to show you how to incorporate all those things in your business so that you're not wearing yourself out. And all you have to do is go to MakeMoneyFromMediaChallenge.com. Sign up as a VIP and you get a little bit more. You'll find out when you get there, okay? Go as a VIP. And for those of you who want to start a podcast and you'd like to maybe even have it done for you, text the word podcast to 929-244-4323. 929-244-4323. Text the word podcast. And we'll show you how you can get your podcast started now. But last but not least, I want to make sure you're subscribing. I want to make sure that you are sharing the Media Boss Podcast and also rate the show and give us a fantastic review. And you also get a free gift just for doing that as well. Okay? So how do we get out of here on the Media Boss Podcast? Those of you who know, you know. So do it with me. We're going to count down from 3. 3, 2, 1. Media Boss out.